Welcome to cs312. Everyone say hi.
Hi.
We're going to go through using SQL Server Management Studio. So I type in the flag button, SQL, and SQL Server 2004 Management doesn't show up on this one. I have Configuration Manager. Let's see if that's good enough. I'm not sure that's the same. I might have to remote in. No, that's not the same thing. Man, I did all the installs on this machine.
And you did started all the recordings too.
Well, I can easily, quickly remote in to that other station and bring it up on that. Come on. Remote. Where's my remote? There we are. We'll bring in station number 25, which I've been just having a wonderful time playing with. Don't read my password. It's recorded. I'm releasing my password to the world. Okay, so we have SQL Server. I'm going to disconnect from everything first. So you'll see exactly connecting as well. So I'm going to bring up my window here, bring up full screen on that remote window, and close all my things I've been playing with. Let's just save no changes. It's going to look a lot like Access. It's not too bad. There's I'm designing a table. But you're going to learn how to do all of this. And my goofy toolbar is supposed to be auto hide. It's not auto hiding. There we go. Okay, so you come here. First thing you need to do is connect to a database engine. We need to talk to a database just like we needed to connect to MySQL. When we went into phpMyAdmin and you logged in, it was doing a lot of those things for you. Here, by default, it puts in a name of a server. Since I'm going to connect to the server on my local machine, I type localhost here. Localhost. That means connect to the server on this machine. And when I set it up not Windows authentication. I set it up with SQL Server authentication, meaning I just give it the administrator password for SQL Server, which is SA is the default SQL Server manager, and the password we've given on all these systems is cs312. Okay, so cs312 should be the password. Then you should be able to do connect.
Server name for us is cs312
Server is the local host. Localhost is your server. Just type the name localhost. Localhost stands for this machine. You could put your actual address of your machine there and it would also work. But localhost just means connect to me, and there we are. And this is the window you're going to be exploring, and we can dock those windows. By default, it's docked on the left. And it shows lots of things in your Object Explorer. It shows lots of things in your database. Actually, no. It shows lots of things on your server, including databases, gobs of other things. We don't care about these other things. We're going to create databases. But there's plenty of things you're welcome to explore those other things. I don't know what half these are because I haven't played with SQL Server except for the basics of creating tables and things. So there's tons of things in there to learn about. If you like databases, I would say start exploring what these things mean. There's tons of things. You can actually be certified in SQL Server in Microsoft certification. So there's tons of things to learn. Hello, Sam. I'll mark you off as not being absent today. Don't want you being declared absent unjustifiably. I'll just mark you on as late. That's no problem. You're doing fine otherwise. Okay, so we have all this. Now, the first thing we want to do, though, is create a database to play with. And the way that's done is go right here to right-click on Databases and just click New Database. Right-click is your friend in all these Explorer. There's right-clicks with lots of information everywhere. And it brings up a new database and a lovely little dialog asking you the name of your database. So localhost there for your server, and then the cs312 for the password with server authentication. SA and cs312. So make a database by your last name, okay? I'm going to make one called Manning. And as you create a database, it shows you it's actually creating files. Even when we're using MySQL, every database actually has a file associated with it. And I think at one point I actually showed you, or no, I was trying to find where it keeps it. It moved where it's keeping it on the Linux system. It's creating these files, and now if I click OK, I will have my database created. I could actually add more files, but I don't know what more files will do for me. But it lets you add multiple files. But I'm using the default owner and giving it the default name, or the database name of Manning. Now I click OK. How do I know that database has been created? This took me a while to figure this out. I go over here.
Expand it, then you can have it.
There you go. Actually, it's tables. And if I don't see it, I can right-click refresh. Right-click refresh in case you don't see it being there. At first, when I did it, it didn't show up. I thought, where did it go? And then I came back and it was there. Right-click refresh is your friend. Now, select that database you just created. And now inside of there, or expand it, click on the plus and expand it. There's lots of crazy things in there. I haven't tried diagrams yet, because we care about tables first. Let's create some tables inside of that database. So I right-click, New Table. And now I'm at the point where I have a table, and because I undocked this Object Explorer, it's
Where's the refresh?
right-click refresh.
Right-click on databases and refreshes up the bottom.
And if I want to dock this back on the left, I have to drag it down to that little symbol right there. Now it'll dock it on the left. You can always, anytime you dock, you want to move your window around, it shows the little docking areas where it's dockable. And it redocks it. Okay, let's make some columns. This is starting to feel a little bit like Access, don't you think? And I'm going to pull up my properties so you can see them here on the screen. Let's go ahead and make a column. Let's call it, what should we call this? How about our class roster? So let's call it student ID. And I'm going to use all caps just because we've been doing that throughout the book. The data type shows up, and let's see what data types are available to me. It looks like by default it's this thing called nchar. Is it working for you down there?
Am I supposed to get my cs312?
No, don't worry about I made those other databases.
Okay.
You should just see the one you just created.
Okay. There's the.
And you have the Shirley one?
Yep.
Yeah, see, I've been playing with it. I've been creating all sorts of tables, and
Yeah, that was important from the.
because I figure I should attempt to pretend like I know a little bit more than you. That's really tough teaching in technology. Often your students know way more, and you just have to get over it. Okay, so there's the student ID. Right-click, or I can click on this and see all the different data types available. I'm happy to stick with nchar, even though I don't know what nchar is compared to a varchar or a var binary or lots of varchar max, lots of interesting things in there. I'll go with nchar because I think it'll work. But now I can right-click on student ID and look what's available to me. I can set it as the primary key.
I actually have a bar chart at the very bottom.
Wouldn't you want as a unique identifier? Is the primary key?
Yeah, yeah. And usually, and when I create tables, I don't like combination keys. They just drive me crazy. But I suppose in a complex application, you might want it. I'm going to go with one primary key. And now let's go in with our regular student information. Let's go ahead with. You can decide how you're naming it. I'm thinking my column or my table is going to be called student. And I'm not big on doing a student as my prefix of every column. I'm just going to call it lname. Now I could type nchar parenthesis 10. I have a feeling 10 has to do with the length of it. I want to allow longer than 10 in my name, so let's make it 32. Let's put in parentheses 32. I can type in there. I don't have to stick with what it gives me. And if you notice that properties button, that property page that pops up, I can also set the length down there, very much like access properties. And of course, there's gobs more of properties that I could explore. I'm just going to worry about length right now. Okay, so let's do a first name. nchar, and I can just type nchar parenthesis 32, hit enter, and it guesses what I want. I can choose whether or not it's allowed to be null or blank. I'm going to do middle initial. I'm going to make that an nchar 1. Remember, what limiting it to one character will keep people from putting in goofy things for their middle initial by accident.
That's rude. I have 2 middle names.
Oh no!
Yes.
We're going to have to modify our database just to accommodate those people that have 2 middle names.
They make me choose. Standardized test and found life.
Might have MI1 and MI2 is so we could do all sorts of things with middle name. Okay, what else do we need to know about our student? Let's go ahead with email. Now that's probably going to be longer than 10. Let's make that 128. There might be some long emails out there. And let's do, how about phone? Let's see, phone, again, since there may be dashes in it, there may be parentheses, let's make that an nchar. 10 would give me, well, if I want to accommodate parentheses and things, we'll make it a nice long one. We'll make it 32. I like powers of 2. And let's see, what else? Something to do with a different data type. How about notes about this student? Can I make a large note? What do we have that would be like a memo type? What do we have available to us? We have text without any parameters. And we have varchar max. I'm going to try text and just see what that does. If I click off of it and then come back to it, see what its properties are. Notice there is no maximum length. We'll go with text. How about their balance? Let's deal with floating point numbers. What do we have available for floating point numbers? And this is where it gets a little more confusing. There's numeric, there's float,
We have money.
there's
We
decimal,
have money.
Not much money.
there's decimal, numeric, and then float up here somewhere as well. And then float without any parameters. I did a little reading, and I came across a page that said use decimal in most cases because it's very accurate and it's the most common one. I'm thinking I could probably use float if I worried about speed. I read that also that floats, if you look down here under properties of floats, you'll see that it takes up less space in memory, only 8 bytes in memory. So float may be best if you're worried about speed. In our case, we're just learning about databases and they're not going to be very big at all. So space is not going to be a big thing. So float or numeric, you take your pick, or decimal. You know, with float, it's just stuck at 8 bytes, not 8 bits. Let's see, what else would we not know about a student? How about what department they're in? That might lend itself to relating it to another table. Department, spelling it right, ID. And that will probably be nchar. I'm going with the default allow nulls. Now I haven't actually saved the table. My table has not been created yet. I could close this. It'll say, do you want to save things first? Or if I control S, or I could right click Save Table. And I'm going to give that the name student. This is my student table. Has nothing in it, but let's go figure out how we can edit the student table. I can close this or I can leave it open. This is actually what they call the designer. This is actually the design of the table. If I close this, when I come back to my tables, there it is. I can right click, design, and it pops up that page. So I'll close the table, go explore my tables. If you don't see them there, just do a right click refresh. It should show up. It showed up right away for me. When I did the first time, it didn't show up. Right click design, and it takes me back to that page. But let's do right click, edit top 200 rows. And it brings up very much like an access page of entering data in for a student. So let's enter some student information. Let's see how this works. Right click, edit 200 rows. Now, I have to put in an ID. I'll just make one up, and I can tab over, and we'll do last name Baker, Christopher. Middle initial, multiples, we got a problem. What is your middle initial?
Roger Dale.
So R. Do you do R normally or D normally when they only gave you 3?
I think I do that.
Okay. cbaker@emmaus.edu. I'll make a phone number. Notes, great students. Loves SQL. Balance. I'm not sure what these warnings are. Let's see what happens. 12
I
point.
think it's just
3.
because I think it's just you changed it.
Okay,
So it's
yeah.
not actually
Has not been committed. Remember, I don't remember if we talked about this. There's ways of actually committing your query. Let's see if I hit enter, does it commit it? It looks like once I hit enter, the data now no longer warnings on it. Let me close the table and come back to it and edit top 200 rows, and there I see Mr. Baker still in
I
there.
don't really like it. You put RD in my middle initial, it doesn't really tell you what's wrong. It just comes up with it.
Oh, really? Interesting. So it doesn't say no row was updated. The data in row 1 was not committed. Error message, string or binary data could not be truncated.
I guess I should say it doesn't tell you where.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just someone in there there's data that it didn't like.
Yeah, and these are the kind of things that as you deal with more sophisticated systems, you'll be getting less friendly error messages. That's just part of life. So I just know it had an error. There may be ways of finding out. So let's add a few more students, and then we'll explore other things we can do. I'm tired of having to enter a student ID. Can I get that to auto number? Remember in Access I could do auto number? I'm going to see if I can auto number that ID. I'm going to go back to student design, right click design. Student ID, down here in the properties, is there an auto number data type, collation? Maybe right click on it. Let's see, right click. I was hoping I could make it auto number because I see that's such a common thing in the other databases.
Oh, do you think that might be a setting?
Was that not unique identifier? That's what I was asking.
It's going to require it to be unique, but I was hoping it could auto number it for me.
It's type called unique identifier.
Ooh, maybe that's what I need to do. Good thought. Let me shrink this so you can all see it. All right, I'm gonna see how it shows properties twice because I asked for it. I was thinking I might get a different window. I got the same properties window. So let's right click on that. Oh, it was the data type. Let's go to the data type. Instead of nchar, unique identifier. Let's save that and see if it takes it. And this is, again, something you'll see. It's not letting me do this. It's preventing me from dropping the table and recreating it. So that's kind of a pain.
Int, you can, I think you can make it do it.
All right, let's try int.
Okay, well it still doesn't like making the change.
Right. That's something you'll see that, and that's why at the very start of Design Airtable, when we run into these troubles, we'll have to basically say, okay, let me redesign this table. And let me show you that next. It's actually not that bad. Watch what you can do. Now that I have a table, I've canceled the changes I'm trying to make. I'm happy with what it has in now is just those things, and the data in it. I didn't even change it. It's asking me to change it. The data in it, if I right-click top 200 rows, I just have the one row in it for now. Now suppose I say, you know what? I need to fix this. I need to recreate it. Watch what I can do now. Right-click on students, the table I just made, and script table as create to new query window. Scripting is basically telling you the engine, show me the SQL code that was used to create this table. So I can now see the code used to generate this table, and I could fix it and then execute this query to recreate the table. Which gives me an idea. Maybe those tables that I have in the chapter 10 exercise or chapter 7 exercises, maybe there's an easier way to create those tables. Let's see. I'm going to go over to the eLearn page. And go down to the resources. Go to my chapter 7 resources. And I haven't messed with this artist table yet. Let's take a look at this artist. I'm going to click on that and open with Notepad++. And I got a problem. I'm in my local system. I need to do this remotely, or more copy paste I don't know will work. We'll try it. Hey, there's a gallery and there's some values. Let's see if I can just copy that, go over to my SQL page here, and let's see if I can start a new query right here under New Query. Let's see if I can paste that and run it. Let's see what happens. I can just start a new query and execute, and it didn't complain. Let's come over here and refresh. Sorry, on their tables and refresh. Look at that. It created the gallery table for me with a simple copy paste from the notepad that had the code to create that table. Hey, maybe I can insert data the same way. Let me copy paste the insert part. Copy. Let me replace this query with the inserts and execute. I'm seeing rows that got affected. Does that look familiar when we did the command line? Let's now right-click gallery, edit top 2. There we go. There's my top 2 rows of the gallery table. Hey, let's try something more. Let's do a new query. Let's take everything except for the gallery part, I suppose. Let's go from Painter all the way to all the things created in that script. Oh, it wasn't a very big script. Copy. Come over here, paste. It's going to create a Painter table, insert data. And it's fairly helpful. Notice it's showing things in blue where it thinks it's happy. If I had a typo here, if I had a typo, I think it would, it doesn't underline it in blue. Sometimes I actually got red squigglies when I had typos.
You just go to new query.
Yep, just did new query. I can run queries against my database. It should have created a table painter, populated it, painting, populated it. And now if I come over here to tables, right-click, refresh, look at that. I've got my tables. So as we work with Management Studio, queries let me test my knowledge of actually building tables. I can save that. I can actually save that query if I wanted to, but I don't need to. It's created my table. But now, let's build a query now based on these 3 tables. No, I'm going to stop. I'm going to pause here and help you make sure you're building your tables. Go ahead and find that. Okay, we're back. We've inserted 3 tables, gallery, painter, and painting. And now let's look at the structure of these tables so we can be prepared to understand how to build a query of getting some useful information out of them. Just to practice our query building skills, first thing you need to do in building a query is to understand your database. So I'm going to bring up Notepad. He's a little nicer to me. Let's look at our tables here now. We've got our painter table. And I see, let's see, the painter table here. Let's right-click design of it. The painter num looks like that should probably be the primary key. So the painter num, num. Now, is putter num referenced by another table? Let's take a look. So putter num is our primary key. Painting, it has a painter num and a gallery num. So it looks like painting now has two links to other tables. So in the painting table, it references putter num as well as gal num. And now in the gallery table, I'm thinking all it has is a gal num. Let's see here. Design of the gallery. Yep, gal num. Okay, so knowing the different parts of each table now, it has a gal num. Now we need to know what's useful information is inside of each of my tables. Let's do a simple query first. Let's list the painters alphabetically. So I can go to my new query, and let's just do, before anything else, let's do select star from painter. And to see the results, I simply execute, and it shows me the result in a results window. Isn't that nice? There is my results. Feeling a little bit more like, PHP MyAdmin would show me. I'd have to browse to it. I kind of like this. It shows me the results down here. Now, let's see if the order by works. Order by putter last name. I'm getting squigglies, but let's see if it'll still work. I'm not trusting these squigglies, and I indeed do get some decent results. So you can't always trust the red squigglies, even though it's saying invalid column name. It works. And is it sorting them? Yes, it's sorting them by last name. Now, what do I do here? Given this, I want to list the gallery that they're in. The name of their, let's see, what do we know about galleries? The gallery has an owner, area code. Let's just go and see what we have in there. All right, not the design, 200 rows. It has an owner, an area code, and phone. Okay, so we don't know the name of the gallery. We know the owner of the gallery. How about this? Let's list the galleries. How do we know what? I guess the painting has the most information. Let's look at painting. The painting has the number and who the painter is. But looking here, what happened to my gal num? Oh, I'm looking at painter. Let's look at paintings. There we go. We see the gallery where the painting is and the title and the painter number. All right, so let's do this. See if you can do this now. List painters and their paintings. With title and gallery number. Knowing this about our tables, the paintings, or the painter table, what does it have in it? Let's look at my painter table. The painter table has last name, first name. So list painters So let's go for the painters. Let's do their first name, comma, last name. Their paintings, and let's see what the painting has. The painting has a title. Painting title. Painting title. I don't know why they chose such a goofy prefix. So painting has a painting title. and maybe we'll come back and do their prices. So paintings, I have to look up, oh, painting title is the name of the column with the name of their painting. And the gallery number, we already know that, that's gal num, right? So knowing that relationship between my tables, how do I list my painters and their title of their paintings and their gallery? And we better have, let's go ahead and sort by last name eventually. What would that query look like? And we'll pause. So this is the information I want out of the tables. Maybe start this way. Just look, okay, that's the name of the columns. But wait a minute. This one is coming from what table? This is coming from the painter table. So how about do this? Painter dot put her first name. Painter dot put her last name. Putting title is over here in the painting table. And the gal num is also in the painting table. So that's the table name and the column name. I put in front of that a select. Yeah, try that. I haven't done concatenating yet in SQL. I thought it was double bar or double ampersand. And what tables does this come from? Well, it's the painter and the painting table. Painter, comma, painting. Now we can try that and see what we get, and then figure out there must be a where clause because I'm joining two tables. So I'm going to copy that and see what I get for results in my query builder. So I'll come back to new query, see what that gives me when I execute it. Invalid column name, putting title. Uh-oh, I messed up on the title of my column. Oh, no I in it, silly me. No I in the putting title. Now let's run it and see what happens. Look at that. I get a crazy list. And for every painter, I get every gallery listed. So we got to fix that. We'll pause it while I go help you here. What do we do to fix these results? This is giving me, for every painter, all the paintings. What do I do to get the results of just that painter's paintings? Yes, it's a where clause. And look back at the information we know about our tables. The painting has a painter num in it, and the painter has a painter num in it. That means they're related by painter num. There's painter num in the painter table, and there's painter num in the painting table. Is that enough clue? Oh, well, let me see.
So you typed in where painter.ptr.
Yes. So it should be.
Equals painting.painting.
Yep.
I'm gonna but if that why did painting number for painters to paint? Yeah, yes.
That should be the where clause as far as I know. Let's see what's wrong with there if we can't get that to work. Let's try it over here. Add to that where painter.putternum equals painting.putternum. And there we go. Okay. And this is where, you know, the little tiny typos come in and an error message is very unhelpful.
Weird. This one's not.
Oh, it might be. One thing you could do is, well, I'll play with that in a second. You got the query working with the where clause?
Yes.
Okay.
Put the word close up. It's just fine.
Okay.
Put the word close back in.
They take out the semicolon.
Oh. It's still.
You try it, sing it.
Oh, order by comes last. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. I see that sound. There we go. That should do it. Good. So part of this is just practicing our queries, but now you've got a little introduction to the management SQL Studio Manager. You can connect to databases with an Access-like interface, kind of a mix between Access and PHP-MyAdmin, but a decent interaction, decent interface to SQL databases, which are big out there. And so we'll do a little more exploring. I'll come up with a few more exercises that I did find a link to a tutorial that basically walked you through exactly what we did today. Just getting used to that SQL Studio, SQL Management, Server Management Studio. And this is version 2014. I haven't tried 2016. There is, you know, multiple versions back, but I'm just afraid to mix versions. You saw the trouble we were having just trying to install the SQL Server. All the ones on the side, they all needed .NET 3.5. All of these guys, they didn't need that, and they all installed. And the install did go way quicker when you did one at a time instead of all of the trying at once. I think that was my big problem. The poor little server file share did not like to share to 8 people at once. It goes really fast sharing to one person at a time. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed this recording. Those of you, I did this for you, Sam. I made this for you. Just a second. Everyone say hi to Ed.
Hi.
We missed you, Ed. Don't know where you were. Maybe
Hi,
you're already
Ed.
on vacation celebrating Easter, but we missed you.